Yes, and we're staying on the topic of unique visits to Israel, this time from Iran. The country's regime may view Israel as an enemy, but not every Iranian agrees. The next story details the trials and tribulations of Payam Fili, a gay Iranian poet who was persecuted by Tehran but has since found a home in, of all places, Israel. I-24 News correspondent Julian Balul has the remarkable story.
Payam is 30 years of age, and for years he was persecuted by the regime in Tehran because he is gay and due to the content of his poems. In his native country, homosexuality is a crime punishable by death.
You have to understand, in Iran homosexuals live in secret, but they are not the only ones. Being a poet in Iran, or just being creative, is very sad and very difficult, because it means that you are relentlessly pressured and censored by the regime. At a certain point, you even begin censoring yourself.
Over time, Payam befriended an Israeli on Facebook. Adi Lieberman would go on to translate his poems from Farsi into Hebrew. She would also help him get a visa through Israel's Interior Ministry. Granting him one was an exceptional case. After the Islamic Revolution, Tehran became an enemy, threatening to erase Israel off the map. But the young man doesn't scare that easily.
All my life I've heard the regime's lies about Israel. But you know, when someone keeps on lying and overdoes it, people no longer believe him. In Israel, everyone welcomed me with open arms. I will never forget my first night in the country. People I didn't know cried as they were hugging me.
An adopted family which has helped Payam cope with having to leave his real one behind. And though he doesn't know if he will ever see his relatives again, Payam tries to stay in touch with them.
Our contacts have become very limited. I truly miss them. I don't know if I'll have the chance to go back to Iran before I die, but I know that one day things will change there. The Iranian youth are strong and clever.
Today, Payam is hoping Israel will extend his visa, allowing him to remain in a country which he says has started to feel like home.
Israel continues to be full of surprises. I'm joined now by Julian Balul, I-24 News correspondent and presenter. Good evening, Julian.
Good evening.
Well, I think the question everyone wants to know is, we realize why he would want to escape to Iran. There's persecution. But why choose Israel, of all places, and come to Tel Aviv?
I think he was just curious. It's been years that he wanted, since he wanted to come to Tel Aviv and to come to Israel. When he became friends with Adi, as we saw in the report, she promised him that one day she will take him to Israel, and she succeeded. He is now in Israel. You have to understand that his life became impossible in Iran. He told me that members of his family were fired from their work because of his because of his poets, because of his also sexual orientation. He was fired from the university. There was pressure, and it's very dangerous to be gay in Iran. People get killed, people get executed because they are gay in Iran. And I suggest you to listen to the previous Iran president when he was in the US for a conference in 2010. Listen what he said about the execution of gays in Iran.
Let's see.
Mr. President, another student asks, Iranian women are now denied basic human rights, and your government has imposed draconian punishments, including execution, on Iranian citizens who are homosexuals. Why are you doing those things?
مطلقا ما در ایران اولا همجنس باز مثل کشور شما نداریم.
We don't have homosexuals like in your country.
این چیزی وجود نداره.
We don't have that in our country.
در ایران این چیزا وجود در ایران
in Iran,
چیزی اصلا وجود خارجی نداره.
we do not have this phenomenon. I don't know who's told you that we have it.
اما درباره
So when you see that, you understand why he wanted to leave Iran. And it's not only about gays, it's also about any creative people. We heard about the director of movies, we heard about poets, we heard about women, of course. And he wanted, and why as well? Because he just wanted to survive, actually. He doesn't want to be in politics. He doesn't want to represent anyone, any organization of the right, the organization of the LGBT. He just wants to live. And you've seen, of course, the Star of David on his on the tattoo on his face. And I asked him why. He told me because it's beautiful. So he doesn't have any political agenda, any political ideology. He just wants to have a better life. That's it.
Well, that's interesting to know that this is the reason he chose Israel. But I guess another equally interesting question is the opposite one. Why would Israel welcome him in such a public way when, of course, we know of the complicated relations between Israel and Iran?
You know, I told him that if an Israeli guy was flying and going to Iran, we will consider him as a traitor. So I asked him, do you think that you're a traitor to your country? He told me, no, I'm not a traitor. I decided to have a better life. And the interest for Israel, of course, in this situation, in this context of tension between the two countries, is to show that Israel is a free country, is a democratic country that opens its door to everybody, and also for the gay people. So I heard that in the last years, Israel gave tens of visas to some Iranian people to come. And the interest of Israel, of course, in this situation is to show that Israel is different than Iran.
And lastly, how did you communicate? Because I saw that, of course, he doesn't speak English, he doesn't speak Hebrew, we don't expect that. How did you communicate?
The girl that we see in the airport, Adi, and she does speak Farsi, and actually she just learned the language in the university. She speaks a lot of languages, and she became friend with him in Facebook, and she made all the translation.
Well, that's the language of acceptance, I guess. Julian Baloul, thank you for this beautiful story, bringing it to us. A beautiful way to end the edition. And that's it for us. The news today is done for today. We'll be back, as always, tomorrow, same time, same place, from the Jaffa Port. Until then, good night.